Hello, everybody. This is the Booktube Chicks Book Club live show for You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. My name is Chloe, and I am with my lovely co-hosts Kathleen and Desiree. And tonight we're going to be talking about this book that we read in the month of August. So, the way we normally run things here is that we will do non-spoiler discussion, initial thoughts, what our rating was, and then once we've all talked about that, we will go into a spoiler discussion. But first, before I forget, we need to do a synopsis of the book. Kat, would you like to do the synopsis?
Sure. Don't forget to mute yourself.
Yes.
Okay. So, hold on. You Should See Me in a Crown it's a really cute story. It's a contemporary. It's about this girl who wants to go to, she's been planning her whole life to go to this elite school to study music. It's a school called Pennington, and she has basically like planned her whole life to go to this school because it's what she's wanted, and she set up scholarships, she set up loans, so she's good to go. But then she kind of finds out last minute, like on her senior year, that she's not eligible for one of these scholarships. So she's kind of has to scramble in order to get this find extra money in order for her to go to to the school of her dreams. She kind of keeps it a secret from her family because she lives with her grandparents, and because she's afraid that they're already poor, so she's afraid that they're going to like try to sell their house or something in order to get her to go to Pennington. So what she does is that she runs for prom queen. If you win prom queen and king, you actually get a scholarship, and that scholarship might help her go to Pennington. So that's what the synopsis is all about, for her trying to win homecoming queen, even though she considers herself to be like a nobody. Like she thinks that her chances of winning are like slim to none.
So who wants to start with their initial thoughts of the book?
I can start. So I loved it. It was it kind of had a lot going on, right? Like I don't know if I know how to talk about it. It was really good. I loved the friendships. I loved the family. I cried while I was reading this. I cried pretty bad, actually. Like I needed to get tissues. But there's also a queer romance in it. So it's intersectional, but I thought it was a great story, and I loved the pop culture references because they felt a little different to me than pop culture references I've been coming across lately, and they're just like more obscure, which made it feel a little bit smarter and a little bit more witty. It wasn't just the same old tired and true pop culture references, and I thought the audiobook narrator was really good also. And so I loved it, and I feel like everybody should read it. And I gave it 5 stars.
Okay, I guess I'll go next. I think I will probably be the only one on this live show who did not love this book. There was nothing wrong with it. I enjoyed it. It was entertaining. I just felt like no connection to the story, felt no connection to the main character. Like some of her issues in terms of trying to find money for college, like I really understood that, because personally I paid my way through college, and my biggest fear was having my parents, who already don't have enough money to begin with, try to help me. And so I literally, like, in the first few years, that's why it took me so long to finish college, because I had to take part-time in the very beginning because I was paying everything out of pocket. And when I went to my first community college, I wasn't getting any help. When I went to my university, I actually got a lot of help from my university, but in the beginning, I just couldn't afford a full-term semester. So, and my parents were really pushing me. They were like, oh, really want to help you. I'm like, no, I would rather you not. So I kind of understood like some of her struggles, wanting to be a good granddaughter to her grandparents, trying to make sure that she can make her way to her dream, make sure that she can still accomplish her dreams while not putting a burden on her family. But otherwise, I don't know. I don't know what it was. Like, I enjoyed the story. I thought it was good. I liked the friendships, but I just, like, personally, I didn't have any emotional connection to the rest of the story, like the whole trying to become prom queen and like the romance. I was just like, for me, there was just no chemistry in the romance. So I did rate this book like a 3. It's hovering around a 3.5. But yeah, that's just how I personally felt about this book.
So I don't know about you guys, but I feel like when this book was being talked about a lot, I personally didn't know that there was a queer romance in it. I'm sure it was mentioned, and maybe I just forgot, but I don't remember that really being talked about much when this book was being promoted. But I did really enjoy this book. I also gave it 5 stars. It was just, I don't know. To me, it lived up to the hype, and I did listen to the audiobook, and I thought it was, I don't really know how to describe it. I just really enjoyed this book, and it was really fresh to read, and I really enjoyed it. I don't really know how to explain it. I just really liked it. So I guess now we will just go into spoiler discussion of this book. If anybody has anything they would like to start with. I know Desiree, it's probably the most freshest in your head.
There was just, I felt like there was so much in this book, right? Like she's also just out of curiosity, was she trying to go to Pennington for music? I know she was trying to get a musical scholarship, but I thought she was trying to be a doctor.
Say that again.
No. Yeah.
Did we lose
I think so, yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Can you guys see me?
Yeah, we can see you. So you think it was a musical degree that she was trying to get?
I thought maybe she went to, but I thought her scholarship that she lost was because of music. It was because towards the end of the book, it says that the Pennington is willing to give her a second chance to audition, and the audition that because the music teacher resent the new arrangement that she made. I remember this specifically when I was reading the book. Resent her new arrangement to the school, and Pennington is giving her a second audition. And so I know that the scholarship was surrounding her music, her,
right? Yeah,
but I don't know. Now that you say it, I don't really know if she's gonna be majoring in music or not.
Okay,
so,
yeah, because I thought she had said she wanted to be like some kind of a doctor or like a hematologist that deals with, like, I think I'm saying the right word, with blood, because of her mom and her brother.
Would make sense because of her brother. Yeah. And at one point in the end, when her brother was hospitalized and she was talking to that doctor, I think I have the page tabbed. She said something about how she would love to study under that one doctor, because that one doctor, her brother's doctor, was always so nice to her or something like that. So it's possible that she was probably majoring in medicine. But I do know for a fact her scholarship surrounded the music aspect.
So this, so they deal with sickle cell in this book, and it made me realize that I didn't know what sickle cell anemia actually was. So I feel like that was kind of a big part of the story. But I loved her grandparents. I just loved how the family was represented and how caring they were for each other. And I was just
I liked that they were so supportive. Like they knew who essentially that she was, you know, she liked girls. And they were supportive of that. And not only that, they were willing to do so much for her to go to her dream school. Because I feel like not a lot of parents would be like that. I feel like a lot of parents who are in a bad financial situation would just be like, you know, not try. They would probably try to encourage her to go to a much cheaper school, you know? But I feel like I love that her grandparents really did push her to go to this elite, expensive school, in her dream school, essentially, and that they were literally willing to do anything to just get her there. And I appreciate that she was also very humble and very selfless, that she really was working hard to not let them do that, like sell their house.
Yeah, I just remember reading that and I was like, I mean, if that's not love, I don't know what is. But like, I remember when I first wanted to go to college, I was told, no, you can't go to that art school. You have to go to the community college. And the only reason I was able to go to art school is because it was actually cheaper than the community college. But I can't imagine someone being willing to like sell their house to make sure that I get through college. So that was just amazing and very heartfelt. And I liked how music was incorporated into the story, and her being in band. And I don't know, I feel like Chloe, like I almost don't even know what to say, but it just made me all around happy. Ashley Poston just recently tweeted, she was like, you know, making people feel angst is easy, but making someone feel happy, now that's the real trick. And I feel like this book really did that.
Chloe, do you have anything to say? You're just gonna be silent.
I mean,
you could be on mute the whole night.
Yeah, right. I don't. Well, for one, it's been like 3 weeks since I read this book, so that's on me. But I don't know. I don't really know what to say for this book. It was just, and I don't want this whole live show to just be that. It just felt very refreshing to read. Like I didn't know what to expect going into it. I was more worried, like, what if it's been hyped up and I don't like it? But I really enjoyed it. I just don't know what to say.
What did you think of like all of the characters' personalities? I felt like there were at least two that I could think of that felt a little not unrealistic, maybe a little overdone, maybe a little caricaturish, slightly. Did you feel that way?
I gotta go in and find a name real quick.
Crap, Stone was one of them.
Okay.
I felt like, and then Rachel just felt like so villainous. She almost felt not real.
She's like that mean girl in school, and like most girls, I don't know, maybe it's just my high school experience. You had your mean girls, but they weren't like as like the way they were portrayed in movies, and that's how I felt Rachel was portrayed in here, like it was like portrayed in the movies.
Yeah,
like a really mean person. Like the whole scene at the very end of at prom with her showing up saying that you stole it from me or something like that. It was just very like theatrical, very movie-ish.
Let me see.
I figured it out. This isn't a character related thing. This is like a plot related thing. But the whole prom being like, I guess like a legacy thing in this town, it's very reminiscent of Dumplin', how pageants are a big thing in that book. Well, like having the prom legacy is definitely a big one here. But I liked the small town vibe thing. Maybe it's because it reminded me of Dumplin', but I was down with it.
I mean, there weren't really many. Like I said, I just like found no connection to the whole book, so there weren't really many characters that I stood out to me. They were all, I mean, like her best friend Gabby. I was like, when I was reading this book, I was like, why are you friends with her? And why, especially, why is she your best friend? She did, like, this girl. She's like, I kept thinking, it's like she's your typical mean girl. She's very like, she's the type of girl that kind of like judges you from behind, like when you turn your back. That's how I felt when I was reading about Gabby. And like towards the end, she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry, blah blah blah." I'm like, "No, you were like a bitch, like the whole book. Like you're so judgmental." And I'm just like, sorry, Gabby was the one character that I guess I could say I felt something about, is that I just didn't like her.
That's the name I was trying to find. She, like, especially towards the end of the book, she was giving me the vibes of somebody who would be like, "Oh, I'm sorry you feel that way," or
right, yeah, like not really an
and
apology.
I'm like,
it's like,
mm-hmm. And I was like so irritated with that too. I was like, why, like, don't even try and go back to apologize or to forgive her, because she's, even though she didn't strictly say I'm sorry you feel that way, but that's how it was, the vibes that I was getting from that, and I hated it.
You know, Gabby obviously wasn't like the best character, likability wise, but even though I didn't agree with her actions, I kind of felt like I understood where she was coming from. You know, one is when she didn't give her Jordan's letter or whatever, it was just a place of fear and feeling like she was going to miss out on her friend. She didn't want her friend to get hurt again. And so she just comes off to me as someone who gets lost in trying to like protect their friend or do what's best for their friend, and then, you know, makes crappy decisions because of it. So I didn't like
I mean, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, and then towards the end, I can see that she, like, you know, changed her ways, whatever. But I'm sorry, she was just really mean, and like maybe that's okay for someone who's just like your friend in school, like, oh, you hang out in school, but after school you really don't, you know, kind of like being a Facebook friend. You know, you have lots of Facebook friends, but you only really are friends with a few people.
Right.
For her to be called her best friend, like, if you don't know that you're hurting your friends by the words that you're saying or by your actions, I feel like you're really really lost, and you lost your way in this friendship a long time ago, and you really need a reality check. And I'm glad that towards the end she got that reality check, but it was just like my whole time reading this book, I was like, Liz, why are you friends with this person? Like, Liz needs to like develop a backbone and stand up for herself, because what she said, like, that would not be something I would ever say to any of you guys, because that was whatever all the things that she said were sometimes really hurtful, and I was just like, I don't feel like that's okay.
It's not okay.
But again, I'm glad that towards the end she kind of like saw, like, I remember her apology, she was saying like something along the lines of like how she shouldn't have been trying to hide who Liz really is. She shouldn't have been telling her to be someone different. And so I appreciated her apology, and I'm glad she like started to see like how her words and her actions have hurt. But like towards the middle of the book, like being in the book, I'm just like, you're really mean. And like and not just like the whole thing with Jordan. Like I totally get the whole thing with Jordan, because personally I see myself doing the same thing. Like, this guy was an ass. He wants to apologize. Like, no, you don't give me the letter. You go grow a backbone and you give her the letter. And I would do the same thing. Like, I would just toss away the letter. But everything else, I'm just like, you're mean. You're not a very good friend.
I'm glad you brought up Jordan, because I completely forgot about him. I don't know if maybe maybe he just fell to the background because there might have been too much going on in the book, but I completely forgot about him and how they had like a whole like friendship falling out thing.
Yeah.
I feel like he was a big part of the story, though.
Yeah.
Like from the first few chapters, she was talking about how heartbroken she was about their falling out, and so their friendship was obviously like super meaningful to her. Sorry, I just wanted to open up YouTube just in case we had any comments or anything. So I'm trying to look at what I kind of marked in the book. This Snoop Dogg Martha Stewart reference I thought was really funny, because I was literally just talking about them the other day. Like 3 days ago, I was telling John about an episode that I watched where they were like cooking mashed potatoes or something, and it was like,
I'm sorry, that's
awkward.
right. You cut off for me at the beginning because my internet connection is not very good. What are you talking about right now?
I said something I really liked that was in the book was the Snoop Dogg Martha Stewart reference about their friendship.
I remember that. Okay.
I thought it was really funny because I was literally just talking about that a couple of days ago. I had watched an episode of them making mashed potatoes together, and it is kind of freaky to see them together, but apparently they're really good friends, which is awesome. Let me see what else. So I texted Kat the other night to ask her if she had finished the book because I had just started it. And I was like internally screaming because I don't know which character it was. Who was the one that was all into fashion?
Oh.
Wasn't that Gabby?
Was that Gabby?
I think so.
I don't remember.
Because she like designed her own clothes, I think.
So they mentioned something about her getting into the Fashion Institute of Technology, and I actually went to school there. And so I was like super excited to see mention of that. And I was just like reading, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So I see. And then there was the mention of the Princess Diaries.
Yeah, I remember that too.
And I was
watch
like,
it, Desiree.
yeah, I was like, I'm gonna get shit for that because I still haven't watched the Princess Diaries. And interestingly, I've seen Drumline.
Smalls. Go watch. Like, I'm not the one who likes the chick flingy things in this group, and I love that movie. It's so good.
Desiree, I've done a good job of watching backlist
Who was
movies
it in this group that hasn't watched Mean Girls?
Her.
Desiree.
I have watched my fair share of backlist titles. Desiree, it is your turn.
Girl, please go watch. And actually, watch both because they're both iconic. You can't just not watch it. God dang. Okay, go ahead.
I think this would make a great movie.
Speaking of which, like speaking of the Princess Diaries, that's a great reference because the friendship in that movie sucked. Lily was such a terrible friend. God, because she was jealous of Mia, so she was a shitty friend. So that's just exactly what's happening in this book. Goodness. Okay, rant over. Go ahead.
So then of course it had the our favorite YA line of "I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding."
I heard that twice in my audiobook right now.
So did I.
Irritating
and I
me.
was just like, no, why? I hate that sentence because it's a sentence that now you think every time you see it, you notice it. And I'm just like,
I feel like authors are just trolling us now.
I know. I'm just like, why do you keep putting this in your books? Like, I think that they're just doing it to annoy us because we'll notice it. And just like it's mentioned at least 3 different times because I saw 3 different times. It was like this stupid sentence is in this book 3 different times.
So I mean, I like because I think the author also went to school somewhere in like the Midwest or something. Hold on, let me see. She's a graduate of Indiana University and is an eternal Midwesterner. So, Liz was kind of dealing with a lot, right? Like the only people that knew that she was queer was her super close friends and her brother and her grandparents. So she was hiding it in school, and then like she also was hiding like pieces of herself because of being Black at the school. And I think she had like primarily like white friends, I think, with the exception of Gabby. But it seemed like there were some very subtle and minor microaggressions that were like coming up against her. I didn't highlight them, so I don't know what they were, but I remember there was a couple of instances in the book where she like kind of stops to think about what was said to her, and then she's like, what? And then they're like, nothing, never mind, and then they just kind of kept going. But there was a line in the book that was really hard hitting, I thought. It was towards the end. And it was when they were telling her that she couldn't be prom queen. And she was like, what rules did I break? I didn't break any rules.
Right.
And they were just giving her a lot of shit. But basically the lines say, she's kind of repeating what they were saying to her. And she was like, you could make history if you just follow our rules. You could be a real credit to your people if you just straighten up and fly right. You could actually be worth something if you just shut up and take what we give you. And I felt like that was just like,
wait,
wow.
Who said that?
That no one actually said that to her, but that was kind of like the gist of what they were saying to her. That was like her internal monologue was saying that. Because go ahead.
I know that French teacher, the one that was really in the end was really like helping her out. She said something along the lines, you could be the first
right.
the first African American or first Black prom queen. And I was just like, oh, okay. I mean, but
yeah, it says it's on the same page. It's literally like 2 lines before that. It said, did you know you have the chance to be the first Black queen in Campbell history?
Yeah.
So it was just like, wow. Obviously they just wanted her. Like she hadn't. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just like, I hate the whole like, here, be happy with what you get. I'm just like, it's not how this works. Like, no, like that's not how this works. Like, it's just because you have something doesn't mean you don't deserve better, and you see this some people who have all of these great things, and like, why is it so wrong for one person to try to achieve and get those same great things? So I hate that whole sentence. I'll be happy with what you have. No, it's like, no, you should aspire for more.
I mean, that whole just small town mentality is like, it's rough. But I'm glad that, in the end, all the students banded together to support her. And
yeah, I do feel like it's a little like too fairy tale-ish. Like today, I mean, it's great. This is something that definitely can happen, but I just don't feel like it's gonna be everybody. I feel like this book didn't have as much opposition as I was expecting. The only opposition was from what's that girl's name, Rachel, and everyone else was behind supporting Liz. But I feel like in a real world situation, it would be very divided. There would be like the parents, which I guess the parents were mentioned by the principal. The principal is saying that the parents want Liz out of the race, but I just feel like that was just a mention. It wasn't really like a threat. It wasn't really a big threat to the storyline. So I do feel like that whole part with the whole school standing behind Liz was a little bit of a fairy tale, but that's just me because I feel like our world is shitty. So I feel like we would get some support, but not every support. So
I feel like it was really convenient for Rachel to be disqualified from the race. But at the same time, I also think it helped with the rest of the story.
I agree.
I mean, but do you think Rachel would have had enough people standing behind her? Because it seemed like by the end, like everybody was just sick of her shit.
I don't think so. Like, I feel like it would have been more realistic for, like, in the end. Like, remember that scene where Liz was trying out prom dresses and Rachel's friends were on the other side, and they just conveniently said, "We don't hate you. It's just Rachel has a prom." I'm like, okay, this is like falling into place way too perfectly. And I'm just like, like in a real world, I feel like Rachel would have like some of her friends backing her up, like, no, you don't belong. I'm like, you know what I mean? And so it's for Rachel to be alone and even her friends to take Liz's side, I just feel like it was a little too perfect.
I did have a brief moment towards the end of the book where I was like, well, what if Liz doesn't get prom queen? Like, I had a brief moment thinking that would happen.
I was thinking that too, especially when the instructor was like, oh, I got you another audition. So I was like, oh, she probably doesn't need this. So it may not come to fruition or whatever.
I think, I mean, I don't get me wrong, I really liked that she became prom queen, but when the instructor already mentioned that I don't know, maybe the author did it on purpose, because once the instructor said, oh, I got you another audition, I was immediately thinking, oh, she's going to lose the race because she technically doesn't need to win. But then she won, which surprised me a little, so maybe the author did it on purpose, but yeah. I mean, good for her. Now her grandparents don't have to, feel pressured or feel like my mom always said that she felt like now that I graduated college and I did it all on my own, like no student loans or anything. My mom, she told me once that she always felt guilty that she wasn't able to help me, and I was like, why? Like, I did it, like it's fine. And so like I'm glad that her grandparents aren't going to feel that guilt. They don't need to feel that guilt on helping their granddaughter out on her dream school. So
I mean, it's still a lot to do, like I don't think I could have put myself through well, I mean, I am responsible for all my loans, but I don't think I could have worked and like put myself through college. Like that's just a lot. So I get the need for like scholarships and other funding options. Do you think there should have been like a little more sibling rivalry?
No, to me, no. I just honestly, if there was, I would have been like, really, like you have this disease. I feel like you should focus on your health instead of being petty towards your sister. So I'm glad that they had such a good relationship, and because I feel like there was no need for any kind of sibling rivalry, because he already has this thing that he needs to worry about. And the fact is that he ended up in the hospital because he forgot to take his medication. And yeah, I feel like there was no need for drama because the disease itself was already pretty interesting to read. I don't know if interesting is the right word, but yeah.
Were they twins or was he younger than her?
He was younger.
Okay.
He was younger.
And then
because I remember. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say she said that they weren't twins, but they had like a twin-like connection. And I was pretty sure she said she was his older sister. I thought. Because I remember seeing that he was 16 and she's about to go into college.
Yeah. I don't remember per se, but when I was reading the whole book, I always had it in my head that she was older, so. But yeah.
I know the grandfather didn't do too much. He was just kind of there. I feel like he was just comedic relief a lot of the time, but he was funny, and it was a nice comedic relief, I guess, with him being upset about this or that or whatever he was talking about.
Yeah.
Do we have anything else we want to add?
I don't know. I don't know if I have anything else to add that I haven't already said. So
I've kind of just been bouncing off of what you guys are saying to help me with my my thoughts on the whole thing.
I mean, it's just, it was a good book. Like, I'll say that. Like, if you enjoy good contemporaries, cute contemporaries, you'll enjoy this one. So
I agree.
I just, like, for me, I don't know what it was. Like, when I was reading, like, I really thought when going into this book that I would really love it. I thought it would be one of those contemporaries that I would just really, really enjoy. But I just read the book, and it was just like, there was just no connection. Like, the only part I really connected with was the whole, like, school situation, having to pay for it and everything. But otherwise, the story was just entertaining to read. There was, I feel like in a month from now, I'll forget everything about it.
did you listen to the audiobook and read the book, or did you just read the book?
No,
both?
I did both. Because the audiobook.
Oh, you froze there. The audiobook what?
The audiobook is on Scribd, so
yeah, that's why I was listening to it. So I don't know. I hope I don't forget about it in a month. I feel like for me, this is a book I'll be telling people to pick up.
And it was like, I do feel like it was a really quick read, because I literally started reading this book like on Thursday. Like, and on Thursday I read like 30 pages, and pretty much all my reading was Friday, Saturday, and then today. So it was, even though like I didn't feel like a connection with it, it was still like a really, like, a quick read.
I agree. So if we don't have anything else to add, then we want to like wrap up and say our final thoughts before we go on to next month.
Sure. I guess I'll go first. As you guys know, as I keep mentioning, I did like the book. It's a good story. It's cute. It's a contemporary. It's one of those cute, lighthearted contemporaries, not one of the angsty ones. So it was pretty easy to get through. Just personally for me, unlike these guys, I just felt no connection to the story. There was nothing wrong with it. There was like nothing that I personally like hated about the book, except for Gabby, who I feel like was a really shitty friend, but whatever. There was nothing else that I like hated about it. It was just like I had no connection to the story at all. Like Gabby, I'm sorry, Liz was an okay main character, but I didn't feel any connection to her. I guess you could say I felt a connection to her situation and wanting to make sure that she could achieve her dreams while not burdening her family for the money for it. So that was just like the only things that I really like, okay, I really understand your situation. But otherwise it was just like, okay. And but I do feel like in a month from now I won't remember anything about this book. So I did give this book a 3.5 rating.
I really enjoyed this book. I give it 5 stars. I agree that I think it'll also be a contemporary that I may forget about in a few months, but it was really refreshing, and I enjoyed the small town, like, I guess for lack of a better word, like legendariness of the prom queen and prom court life, but it was really refreshing. It did feel like something different than what I have read before, and I really enjoyed it.
So again, I gave it 5 stars. I think overall, despite the main character, Liz, encountering challenges and obstacles and having to grow as a character, I feel like overall it was just a feel-good contemporary. And crap, I just lost what the other thing I was going to say was. Oh, that I just really, really love the way it was written. I've read lots of YA, and oftentimes when there's like too many pop culture references poured in, some of them can feel really cringy, and I never felt like that while reading this. Like they just always just felt, I don't know, it just felt good. I didn't stop to be like, here we go, another Harry Potter reference, or here we go, another this reference, or here we go, like even when maybe some of the things that were referenced were super, super popular and overused in other areas, the way she used them did not feel overused. Like I know there was at least one Hamilton reference, and I'm just glad it wasn't the I'm not throwing away my shot, which I feel like I've read in like so many books at this point. But I absolutely love the writing. It is a quick read, and I would recommend everyone picking it up.
So on that note, for the month of September, I don't know if anybody has a copy on them because I don't have one yet, but we are going to be reading Heart of Iron by Ashley Austin. There we go. Cat's coming in clutch with Heart of Iron there. So we're going to be reading that for the month of September, and our live show is going to be on Sunday, September 27th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this channel. And I'm really excited to read this book. It gives me Cinder vibes, which is one of my favorite series. So I'm excited to pick this one up. Yeah, I don't know if anybody's excited as me, but that's what we're going to be reading in September, and that is all we have for the live show for You Should See Me in a Crown. So hopefully we will see you guys next month for the Heart of Iron live show, and thank you guys for joining us. We will see you guys next time. Bye.